There's a strange feeling surrounding Celtic right now, and if you've been following this season closely, you'll know exactly what I mean. Normally, when we hit this stage of the campaign and an international break rolls around, there's a sense of anticipation building. Fans start looking ahead, thinking about the run-in, the big moments, the games that define everything. But this time, it feels completely different. Instead of excitement, there's this lingering uncertainty, almost like supporters have taken a step back, unsure of what version of the team is going to return. It's not even just about results, it's the overall mood. The atmosphere has shifted, and not in a good way. There's been a sense of frustration creeping in, and it's been building over weeks. When you look at how things have gone, it's easy to understand why. Performances haven't matched expectations, consistency has been nowhere to be found, and just when it feels like Celtic might be turning a corner, something pulls them right back again. That cycle has repeated itself far too often this season. And heading into this weekend, everything feels like it's hanging in the balance. This isn't just another fixture on the calendar. This is one of those moments where the outcome could define the direction of the entire campaign. The trip to Dundee carries a weight that goes far beyond the 90 minutes on the pitch. It's being viewed as a turning point, or potentially the breaking point. For many fans, it's as simple as this: win or risk watching the title challenge slip away for good. What makes it even more concerning is the way Celtic went into the break. Losing is one thing, it happens in football, but the manner of that last performance left a mark. There was no real spark, no clear identity, and perhaps most worrying of all, no sense that a response was coming during the match itself. Even when the game started to drift out of reach, there wasn't that usual push, that urgency you expect from a side fighting for everything. It just felt flat, and that's what has stayed with supporters over these past couple of weeks. Confidence is a fragile thing in football, and right now, it doesn't feel like Celtic have much of it to spare. Every time momentum starts to build, it gets knocked back down. It's been a season of false dawns, where a good result is followed by a disappointing one, and any sense of progress quickly disappears. That unpredictability makes it difficult to believe that things will suddenly click into place, especially with so little room for error left. Looking ahead, the challenge is massive. There are only a handful of games remaining, and every single one carries huge importance. Dropping points at this stage isn't just a setback, it could be decisive. That's why this upcoming match feels so critical. It's not just about getting 3 points, it's about restoring belief, both within the squad and among the supporters. A convincing performance could change the tone completely, but anything less will only deepen the doubts that are already there. There's also the reality of what's happening elsewhere. Other teams in the race have had their struggles too, but relying on that now feels risky. Earlier in the season, there was always the assumption that rivals would slip up, that opportunities would come. But as the weeks tick down, those chances become less certain. You can't count on anyone else at this stage, it has to come from within, and that's where the real pressure lies. Another factor that can't be ignored is the condition of the squad. Injuries and absences have taken their toll, leaving the team looking thinner than ideal at a crucial moment. It's made things more difficult, no question, but it also puts more responsibility on the players who are available. They have to step up now, because there's no margin for passengers in games like this. Every contribution matters, every moment counts. And then there's the psychological side of it all. Football at this level isn't just about tactics or quality, it's about mentality. Right now, Celtic need a shift in that area just as much as anything else. They need to show resilience, to respond to adversity, and to prove that they can handle the pressure that comes with a title race. Because make no mistake, the pressure is only going to increase from here. What makes this situation so fascinating is that it could still go either way. Despite everything that's happened, despite the setbacks and the inconsistencies, the opportunity is still there. That's what makes this next stretch so compelling. It's a test of character, a test of belief, and ultimately, a test of whether this team has what it takes to rise when it matters most. But as things stand, there's no getting away from the fact that this weekend feels like a line in the sand. The margin for error has disappeared, and the stakes couldn't be higher. Celtic have put themselves in a position where they can't afford another slip, and that reality adds an extra layer of tension to everything. Supporters will be watching closely, not just for the result, but for signs of life, signs that this team can still deliver when it counts. There's also a growing conversation around what this team actually represents on the pitch, because for large parts of the season, that identity has felt unclear. When you watch Celtic at their best, there's usually a recognizable style, a rhythm to the play, a sense that every player understands their role and how it contributes to the bigger picture. Lately, though, that clarity hasn't been there. Matches have drifted, phases of play have looked disconnected, and too often it feels like the team is relying on moments rather than structure. That's what made the last outing before the break so difficult to accept. It wasn't just that the result went the wrong way, it was how little control there seemed to be from start to finish. There was no sustained pressure, no real fluency in attack, and defensively it never looked fully secure. Even when the scoreline suggested there was still time to turn things around, the performance didn't give any real indication that a comeback was coming. That's the kind of display that lingers in the minds of supporters, especially when there's been time to reflect on it. Now, after a couple of weeks away, the big question is whether that break has helped or hindered. On one hand, it offered a chance to reset, to step away from the noise and regroup. On the other, it's not like the entire squad has been together working on solutions. International duty has taken players in different directions. Injuries have limited options, and that makes it harder to build momentum behind the scenes. So when the team steps back onto the pitch, there's a real curiosity about what version of Celtic we're going to see. The manager's role in this moment becomes even more crucial. This is where leadership has to shine through, not just in terms of tactics, but in restoring belief and direction. Finding a way to simplify things might be key, giving players clear instructions, reinforcing the basics, and building confidence through small improvements. Because right now, trying to overcomplicate the approach could do more harm than good. What's needed is a performance that feels solid, organized, and committed from the very first whistle. There's also an individual responsibility that can't be ignored. At this stage of the season, big players have to step forward. It's not enough to blend into the collective. Moments of quality and leadership are required. Whether it's someone controlling the tempo in midfield, taking charge at the back, or producing something decisive in the final third, these are the moments that define campaigns. And for Celtic, too many of those moments have been missing when they've been needed most. Another layer to this situation is the psychological pressure that builds when time starts to run out. Earlier in the season, a poor result could be brushed off with the knowledge that there was time to recover. That safety net is gone now. Every match carries consequences, and players are fully aware of that. How they handle that pressure will go a long way in determining what happens next. Some teams rise under it, others struggle, and right now, Celtic are at a point where they need to prove they can be the former. The supporters, too, play a part in all of this. Even with the frustration that's been building, there's still that underlying desire to believe, to see a reaction, to feel that connection again between the team and the stands. A strong start in the next match could shift the mood quickly, turning tension into backing, doubt into encouragement. But the opposite is also true. If things start slowly or signs of the same issues appear again, the atmosphere could become even more uneasy. Looking at the bigger picture, it's clear that this final stretch is about more than just results. It's about setting a standard, about showing that this group has the resilience to respond when things aren't going their way. Because regardless of how the table looks right now, these performances will shape how the season is remembered. A strong finish could change the narrative completely, while more inconsistency would only reinforce the concerns that have been present for months. There's also the tactical side of the upcoming match to consider. Playing away in this context is never straightforward, especially against a team that knows how much is at stake for their opponent. Celtic will need to be prepared for a battle, both physically and mentally. Winning second balls, staying compact when needed, and being clinical when chances come along will all be crucial. These are the details that often decide tight games, and right now, attention to those details is absolutely essential. At the same time, there has to be a balance between caution and intent. Sitting back and hoping to edge a result isn't likely to inspire confidence, either within the team or among the supporters. There needs to be a willingness to take initiative, to impose some level of control on the game. That doesn't mean reckless attacking, but it does mean showing belief in their ability to dictate the tempo and create opportunities. As the minutes tick down in that next match, every decision, every pass, every moment will carry weight. You can already sense how pivotal it is, not just in terms of the table, but in shaping the mindset for everything that follows. A positive outcome could provide the spark that's been missing, giving the team something to build on heading into the final fixtures. But anything less will only increase the pressure, making the path ahead even steeper. What adds even more tension to this moment is the growing sense that time is no longer a luxury Celtic can rely on. Earlier in the campaign, there was always room to recover, to fix mistakes, to go again the following week with a clean slate. Now, every match feels like it carries double the weight, and that changes how everything is approached. Players know that one lapse in concentration, one missed opportunity, can have consequences that are impossible to undo at this stage. You can also feel that the margin between belief and doubt is incredibly thin right now. One strong performance could completely shift the narrative, bringing back that energy and confidence that's been missing. But if the same patterns continue, if the same issues show up again, then it becomes much harder to convince anyone that things will turn around. That's why the next 90 minutes aren't just important. They're potentially season-defining in terms of mindset alone. There's a real need for personality on the pitch, for players to take responsibility in key moments and drive the team forward. It's not always about producing something spectacular. Sometimes it's about doing the simple things with conviction, making the right decisions under pressure, and showing that willingness to fight for every ball. Those small details can lift a team, especially in matches where confidence is fragile and the stakes are so high. At the same time, communication and organization will be vital. When a team is going through a difficult spell, it's easy for structure to break down, for players to become disconnected from one another. That's something Celtic can't afford here. They need to stay compact, stay focused, and make sure that every player is tuned into the same objective from the first whistle to the last. Any lapse in that discipline could quickly be punished. You also have to consider how the early stages of the game might shape everything that follows. A strong, aggressive start could settle nerves and put the opposition on the back foot, giving Celtic a platform to build from. On the other hand, a slow or uncertain opening could invite pressure and allow doubts to creep back in almost immediately. Managing those opening moments will be absolutely crucial in setting the tone. And as this next chapter begins to unfold, there's a sense that everything is on the line, not just in terms of points, but in terms of pride, identity, and belief. The opportunity is still there, but it's hanging by a thread, and what happens next will determine whether that thread holds or finally gives way under the pressure. Before we proceed, subscribe to our channel and enable notifications to receive all exclusive news about Celtic FC. Don't miss any details about your favorite team. It's extremely important for Celtic FC fans. There is a growing murmur around Parkhead that Finlay Curtis could soon become the latest name through the doors at Celtic FC, with quiet conversations believed to be underway behind the scenes. While nothing has been formally confirmed, sources close to the situation suggest the club have identified Curtis as a potential addition for the season ahead, a move that would align with their continued focus on emerging domestic talent. Those within the Scottish game have long spoken of Curtis as a player with untapped potential, someone capable of fitting the high-tempo, attacking philosophy associated with Celtic sides in recent years. The interest, though still at an early stage, is said to be genuine. Figures at the club are reportedly assessing whether the timing is right to make their move, weighing both development upside and squad balance. Supporters have begun to pick up on the whispers, with discussion spreading quickly across fan circles. Some see the rumored approach as a sign of long-term planning, a nod to building depth while maintaining a strong Scottish core. Others remain cautious, aware that early talks do not always lead to completed deals, particularly in a market that can shift rapidly. There is also the question of how Curtis himself views the potential switch. A move to Celtic would undoubtedly represent a significant step, bringing both opportunity and expectation. The club's environment demands consistency, and any new arrival is quickly placed under the spotlight. For now, it remains a developing story, one fueled more by informed speculation than official word. Yet in Glasgow, such whispers often carry weight. If the conversations progress, what is currently a rumor could soon take on a more concrete shape, with Curtis at the center of one of the season's more intriguing transfer narratives. Hello, fan. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, as it means a lot to Celtic FC. Also, share your opinion about the news in the comments below. See you in the next video.